We created metaverse and the world of virtual games. Games should be played there, not in relationships. That's what I feel.
Welcome to UX Talk Show in collaboration with Grisu Media Arts. I'm Mohsinaa Ahmad, co-founder of Self Discovery Podcast, where we bring you global stories of resilience and leadership, and we explore the stories of individuals shaping industries and making a lasting impact on the world. I welcome Niranjan Gidwani, an accomplished leader and visionary with over a decade of leadership experience at EROS Group. Niranjan has been at the helm of innovation, steering the organization to new heights as CEO. Niranjan's impact goes beyond the corporate world. In recent years, he embarked on a well-deserved sabbatical to give back to society by dedicating 24 months to pro bono work and mentoring the next generation of leaders and business owners. He made a conscious effort to uplift others in the society. Niranjan's passion for excellence has been further highlighted as EROS Group received the most prestigious award of Mohammed bin Rashid Award for Business Excellence, the highest honor given to an organization by the government of Dubai during Niranjan's tenure as a CEO of EROS Group. His expertise extends to handling globally renowned brands such as Samsung, Hitachi, Apple, and Lenovo, solidifying EROS Group's presence in the retail and distribution. So, welcome, Mr. Niranjan.
Thank you, Mohsinaa.
What is SSGM UAE and why this sudden increased focus on the word sustainability?
SSGM UAE is the Society of Sustainability and Green Materials UAE. This is an idea and a brainchild of a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ali Al Jassim. So it was his idea that they should actually set up something over here. And what actually is happening is that this word sustainability is being talked about very often nowadays. You know that if the UAE decides to step into something, they would over a period of time create something which is bigger and the best. So the idea of forming this society, it's now in a very small, like a baby. So the idea that now the society is trying to shape up is that there are many companies now across the world, many systems and processes where sustainability can actually be tracked in every product, every service, and norms, etc., can be set. If there is one region which is ahead, it's Europe. So he is actually doing the lion's share of the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to ask one more question in this regard.
Yes.
That why does anything with the word sustainable expensive? Why is it not accessible to people who are using them and needs to use them? Because that should be the norm.
I think, Mohsinaa, there are two things. One is when you have economies of scale, you can bring down price. The other is what I refer to, what I personally believe is that if the companies which get into doing this also feel that because they are getting into something new, they must capitalize the maximum ROI, then the price is not going to come down. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, you are right that if something new which is going to help the planet comes in, I think sometimes like they do in the online world, where the actual price of the product is not the price at which you are buying, it's higher.
True.
They are finding funds to bring down the price. I think the same thing needs to be applied to sustainability.
Please tell us about this well thought of sabbatical of 24 months in which you dedicated your time to pro bono work and helping and mentoring individuals and SMEs. Can you share one of the most impactful experience from this period that has shaped your perspective on leadership and society?
I had an ex-colleague who actually, within a few weeks of losing his job, was detected with tongue cancer. A young family, a young daughter, school going, and the system decided to completely shut down on him. It was unthinkable for me that somebody who I know for 8, 10, 12 years, I should not do something for him. So I decided to operate on two fronts to actually stand by him during this entire illness. Sadly, that illness carried on for about 2 years. And you can imagine that if it is tongue cancer, you can't even actually go and give interviews for your next assignment. So he expressed to me that he wants to start a small startup e-commerce, which he and his wife could run. So right from scratch, thinking out the whole strategy, where it should be established, which free zone it should be set up in, how the process should go. After the first few months, what categories of products should come on, and then slowly taking it to that stage where he is able to run it with himself and his wife. He has now come to that stage where his wife is running it. It's a small business, it's not something big. And he has also managed to now come out of his illness and get himself a good assignment. So he is back on track. There were similar such examples, several, but I think this is probably the most meaningful that comes to mind, is because it's not assistance being provided in an organized manner as a mentor or a
Right.
coach. Yeah, this is something which is an individual to an individual, helping
Yeah.
one person at a time and trying to see if they can be set on track.
This is like selfless giving to someone whom probably you knew, but at the same time, you gave your all out. Congratulations on EROS receiving the most prestigious Mohammed bin Rashid Award for Business Excellence in your tenure. How did this recognition impact the operations and reputation of your organization at that time? And what strategies did you implement to maintain such high standards of excellence?
I'm happy to talk about this because it happened during my tenure. We had a mandate when I came on board. There were two or three different mandates, and one of those was that we should convert the group, which is EROS, into a brand which is selling brands. There was a time when EROS was known and only as selling brand Hitachi. This is the highest award that one can get, which is the Mohammed bin Rashid Award for Business Excellence, and it is actually based on very detailed parameters related to business excellence. The team did a superlative job, and we went through the exercise, step by step, and managed to get it. What it also does is when you reach that level, your desire to keep your performance at that level, it's like, if I have to explain a soccer team or a cricket team, if they taste success over a period of time, they wish to perform at that level. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You push for it, you attain success, you get so intoxicated by that you push for some more, and that's how we were going.
With you almost 14 years of experience with EROS Group, what are the two things that you loved there?
The two most important things that I loved and I still love about the organization is it's an organization which operates like a family. At the professional level, the processes are so strong and stringent that performance cannot be bypassed. So these are the two things which have actually made it into what it is today, and it will continue that way.
As an Indian citizen living in the UAE for the last 30 plus years, where do you see the future of India UAE business and cultural ties, and which are the areas where focus could be improved?
I think it's really doing phenomenally well. The cultural ties are very, very old. They go back centuries. The business ties, initially were related to, as I could see, it was trade and travel and tourism. Slowly, it shifted to other areas like events, influencers from Bollywood coming here, people from there coming to buy property, movies being filmed here because of the phenomenal places where filming can be done. Technology is now the new route, and of course, the route of startups. Now, the future is, of course, in the technology startups. I also feel that the larger private sector entities in India, they would not just use this place as a base to do trading, but actually set up their own hubs over here and help the local Emiratis in more professional training and being trained, because that is a need which this government feels. So sometimes when you meet that need, or actually you say, okay, we will take X number of people back into India for 6 months and train them in bigger organizations with a view to giving them a new opportunity to grow, I think this would help in a big way both ways. But for now, as I see, the next decade or more is in the area of technology tie-ups and also in the area of startup tie-ups, because this city is very clear that they would like to, or even UAE or in the region, that they would like to be a hub which straddles between the soft power of the startups, which is India, and the financial power of startups, which is in Silicon Valley. I think now it's likely to be a combination here in this region.
You are also on the Council of Super Brands UAE. Why do brands and services need a super brand status? How does it elevate their branding?
If I have to explain it simplistically, everybody who's working, you, me, a brand, sometimes needs an external validation that what you're doing is right or may not be necessarily right. Now, Superbrands is a global organization. You know, how it works is that they are constantly checking what brands are doing. Then those number of brands go into a list which could be running into several thousands. Then there is voting, which is done through council members and a team of other people. Those are narrowed. And then finally, the final narrowing comes down to about 50 to 60 brands, let's say in the UAE, which get the super brand status. But to avail of that status for that year, all the branding and collateral, if it has to be used for showing super brand status, there is a fee you have to pay for the year. So typically what happens is when brands know that they have already got somewhere, many of them may feel they don't require super brand status. But I believe that if it's an external validation from an independent authority, which is fairly upfront and straightforward, I think it's a requirement. It would help, especially brands which are upcoming and new.
So, Niranjan, you at very, very early on, you were the one who did engineering, and then you went ahead and did an MBA. Okay. So that was, I think the trend started later, and you're the first ones to do it. So, would you please tell us your advice to the newer generation and postgraduates that are graduating right now? What should be their way of life, or what should be their focus just after passing out?
Before the concept of CSR, I always feel starts the concept of ISR, which is individual social responsibility. I truly follow or try to follow the concept of zakat. I need to keep aside some part of my time and my energy because money can be lost and remade. Time and energy cannot be regained. The newer generation has all the capacity to be healthy, but I think a lot of them are not following a healthy lifestyle. That's the only asset you have to look after all your assets. The last part is I think they should all look for a good mentor because in today's world, the way rapid changes are happening, they are not going to be able to learn everything by themselves. They need somebody to handhold them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Niranjan, can you tell us that how, after having so much of experience dealing with so many people and going through so many ups and downs in your life, okay, even at the peak of your career, how do you create this Zen feeling around you? Is there any ritual you follow? How do you balance out your energies? Can you please tell us?
I have lived by a few philosophies which have helped me. One is, Mohsinaa, is that it's never an external environment which causes us stress. It is how we deal with any environment which is creating the stress or the damage or whatever it is. The other is, I think, my parents and whoever it is that I looked up to, including my family members, my wife, they have always told me that it always pays to be inherently good. And of course, the third is I think, very disciplined by nature. At the end of the day, look, 80 or 85 years is not too long, Mohsinaa. We all take about 20, 25 years to sort out our life. We have a useful life of 30, 40 years. Nobody knows how the last mile is. For some, it's very good. For some, it's very painful. Is it really required to, that's why we created metaverse and the world of virtual games. Games should be played there, not in relationships. That's what I feel. I feel that somebody is wanting to prove that he or she is smarter than me. I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter.
It will not impact or affect the person that you are to what people are thinking.
To be honest, always to follow it is not so easy. But again, I have a thumb rule. If I can follow it 80% of the times, I'm still better than myself.
Great. That's such an amazing way of living. Lovely talking to you. And thank you so much for being on my show.
Thanks a lot.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast interview are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the HT Media, Grissom Media Arts, or the host. HT Media makes no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information in this video and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis. HT Media reserves the right to edit, modify, or remove content without notice. Any reliance you place on such information is strictly at your own risk.